Sean Pickett with Sales Integrity here. Thank you for listening to the Sales Integrity Podcast. I created a free course for you titled 7 Steps to Master the Game of Complex Technical Selling. To claim your free course, just visit mastercomplexselling.com. Again, that's mastercomplexselling.com, or simply text the word SI course to the number 44222. Again, that's SI as in Sales Integrity. So SI course, all one word with no space in between SI and course. Otherwise, you'll get an error message back. So simply text the word SI course to the number 44222. Now let's jump into the podcast. Now let's chat with today's guest, Stu Schlackman. Stu, are you ready to share some wisdom with Sales Integrity Nation today?
I am, Sean. Definitely.
Great. Excited to have you on the show, Stu. And Stu, nobody can introduce you better than you. So given that, I want you to take a moment to say hello to our audience, tell us a little bit about yourself, and let us know how you serve the sales profession today as an industry leader.
Sure. Thanks, Sean, and hello, everybody. Yeah, I've spent the last 33 years in sales and sales management. Over the last 13 years, I went out on my own to be a professional speaker in the area of sales training. So I do a lot of sales training, spend time with companies like EDS, Capgemini, and Digital Equipment Corporation. But the key to my model is using a personality tool that I use to better understand how the 4 different personalities buy, how they like to communicate, what they value, and what motivates them to action. So I've written 3 books on sales, and the core one is the one that I have on personality styles. So that's what I've been doing the last 13 years. I'm also teaching a class at UTD on Introduction to Professional Selling. And this year I'm president of the National Speakers Association of North Texas for a second time.
So you have your hands full, it sounds like.
I do.
Great. Yeah, and I would definitely say Stu is serving the sales profession on a variety of fronts there. UTD is University of Texas, Dallas, for all those who aren't in Texas that are listening. So Stu volunteers his time there. The book Stu is referring to, he's authored 3, but the main one that he's referring to is 4 People You Should Know. Yep. How to connect for exceptional sales, customer service, and unified teams. We're going to talk all about that here in a second because this is very relevant, Stu, to our audience. But before we do that, I always start off with the same question for all of my guests. So I'm going to ask you the same thing. As you know, Stu, we've known each other for years now. You know, I named my company Sales Integrity. And I found over the years that everyone has, although a similar outlook on the concept of integrity, they all have a little bit different spin to what the definition of integrity is or what it really means for a sales professional to demonstrate integrity while selling. So given that, Stu, love for you to provide your definition of sales integrity.
Sure. Yeah, I believe that sales integrity is always putting the customer and their interests first. It's not about me making a sale. It's not about me getting a bonus check or a commission check. It's about solving the customer's problem, giving them exactly what they're looking for, no more, no less, and doing everything that's right by the customer. And that would be my definition of integrity. It's putting the customer first. It's doing what's right by them.
Yeah. The customer-focused, customer-centric approach is always the right way to go, and I would definitely say it's an excellent definition of sales integrity. So we appreciate you providing that, and I think that's a good start. The next thing we want to do is jump into your book, The 4 People You Should Know. And one thing I've popped up here, Stu, is I always like going to Amazon and looking at reviews, and you have some good reviews on here in terms of this book. So just to give our audience a sense of what they can expect, and I'm going to ask you some questions about it. Mm-hmm. One of the reviews says, highly recommended. This book is written for salespeople, but it's good for anyone who has a human relationship in their life. So, which is everyone, right? We all have human relationships. So I think that was a good one. simple and practical. So another person said, I love the pragmatic and easy to understand insight into human behavior. Stu goes right into how to use it immediately with the most impact. I think as salespeople, and you work with salespeople and help them every day, Stu, sometimes we have the attention span of a gnat and want to get right to it, right? So I think that's a great review there for those that say, hey, I don't want to kind of read through a whole bunch of pontification and high level points. I want to get right to it. I think that's a good one. And then here's the last one I'll read. There are others, but I just kind of picked out three. The Salesperson's Guide to Targeted Selling Skills. And this person put targeted in all caps. And they put, if you think you have read this kind of book before on personality profiling for salespeople, you need to read this one too. For those that haven't spent time thinking about the intersection of personality that occurs between people, you need to read this book now. So I think that's a great testimonial that was provided, and that just gives our audience a sense, because these are real salespeople that buy these books, right, Stu? And then it takes someone special to go out and spend their time to put a review on Amazon. They must really have an opinion on it, and you got all 5-star reviews, which is great. So that kind of sets the stage for this book, the 4 people you should know. My very first question, the title just begs this question: who are these 4 people, Stu, that we should know?
Well, there's a lot of models out there. You got DISC, which is a D, you're a D and I, or S or a C, or Myers-Briggs, which is 4, letters that tell you if you're an extrovert, you're intuitive, you're a thinker, a feeler, perceiver. And all these models are really good at telling you about you, but I don't need to take an assessment to figure out who I am. I need to figure out who you are. And so the model I've come up with is you're either orange, green, gold, or blue. And the reason why I pick colors is because it's easy to remember a face with a name with a color, like I'm orange, I know you're orange, and also that it's easy to remember the characteristics of a color. And so being an orange personality, and you said it, I like to keep things simple so that you could apply it. And I have found that in this model, it's very easy to apply. And that's what sales is all about.
Excellent. So let's talk a little bit about your target audience, like the companies and the individuals that you've worked with. Can you give us a sense on, when a company brings Stu in and they're interested in leveraging this concept of 4 people you should know, they like the idea of the 4 colors. What are their challenges, their issues, their goals? What makes up the individual who could best be served by this book and this concept?
Well, if you're in sales, and I like to work with sales teams that are at least 10 people, because we need at least 10 in the audience to just get a good flavor of all 4 personality styles. If you have less than 10, there's a chance that you might be missing a personality style. And so the challenges a lot of salespeople have is that we typically sell from my point of view, the way I see the world. And that isn't going to work for 3 personality styles that are different from you. So you have to be able to identify the other style and then adjust accordingly by giving them what they need. For instance, do you buy based on company prestige, security, longevity, organization and structure and discipline? That's a gold personality. Or do you buy someone on ease of use, one-stop shopping, looking for the immediate benefits and winning? That's an orange personality. Do you buy on safety, security, and doing what's right by the team, and you need great customer service, honesty, and trust? That's a blue. And greens buy on technology, innovation. What is the solution going to look like 5 years from now? How can I expand it? So everybody buys differently. People make decisions differently. For instance, blues and greens are slow to make decisions because they're intuitive by nature. Golds and oranges are fast at making decisions. All 4 styles communicate differently. You'll find that golds and oranges like to do the talking. Blues and greens like to ask questions. So you have to be aware of who you're with so that you can have the right dialogue with them and get to what they value, and understand that there are 2 personalities you do not want to push, and there are 2 that you could actually ask for the order and have a good chance of getting it. So we need to come across from their perspective, not our perspective.
So let's look at this. This is good. We can unpack quite a bit of that. I was taking copious notes as you were going through it.
Oh,
And of course, I've read Stu's book, and I found it to be very, very useful and just valuable for sales professionals, because there's two ways to look at this. You can leverage the four people and the four colors internally, because obviously in a complex technical selling environment, Stu, which is our audience,
mhm.
it's a team pursuit sales cycle, and there's a makeup of different personalities. A salesperson is going to be probably more orange, right?
Right, right.
In general. And then if you have like project managers, business analysts, those that are kind of leading tech teams,
Mhm.
what would you say their personality style would be of the color?
Well, when it comes to program managers and project managers, it's typically gold because their focus is on time, on budget. When it comes to IT folks
Mm-hmm.
and analysts, now you're talking green. Folks that like to look at a lot of raw data, they're very logical, factual, and they want to solve the complicated problems. So in the world of technology, you're mostly dealing with decision makers that are green and some gold.
So would the financial folks be blue?
The financial folks are most likely gold.
Gold. Okay.
The way to remember gold is money.
Yeah.
And golds are typically the ones that have a fiscal agenda. Everything is about return on investment, total cost of ownership, revenue, operational expense.
So how would a sales professional use this information to prepare? Because we're real big on make your sales pop being an acronym for preparation, organization, productivity. It all starts with preparation.
Yep.
These are the key habits of all top sales achievers that we've had the pleasure of working with. And so given that, how would a sales professional, let's say they're preparing to go meet with a CIO,
Yeah.
it's an initial meeting, how can they go and prepare for that, leveraging this information and your approach here?
Well, very good. First of all, just you look at POP, which I think is perfect. I use the 4x4 sales system, which is prepare, present, connect, commit. So prepare is, okay, if I'm dealing with a CIO, what do I need to prepare? I need to be detailed. That's a problem for me because I'm big picture, bottom line as an orange. So I got to get ready with the specifics. When I present, I need to present specifics, and I need to be prepared to expect tough questions from the green, because greens ask the most questions and the most difficult ones. And if I do that, then I will connect with them and get into a dialogue based on what's important to them. And from there, I would try to gain a commitment. And the way you do that with a green is to say, I know we've covered a lot of information today. You probably want more, but I'd like to find out from your perspective, what would be the next steps for you? I'd put the ball into their court and let them tell me what the next steps are. You never tell a green what their next steps should be.
Yeah. So this is good because, based on roles, if you're going in with a couple of your team members and you're going to conduct a demo or present a proposal or just an initial presentation on your overall solution, and there's going to be a team of an evaluation committee or buyers, let's say.
Yes.
You've got a CIO, you've got some influencers that are IT analysts or people that are directors of application or infrastructure, whatever it may be, security, things like that. And then maybe they even have a finance person in the room, the controller or financial analyst or someone like that. You've now got a mix of personalities, right?
Yeah.
And you've got a mix of orange, green, gold, and blue, and probably more green, gold, and blue, it sounds.
Right.
From the buying perspective. So if you have that information just on face value, you're going to see, okay, here's the roles. We can match them up. There's typically how their personality is going to be. You could prepare much better than if you just go in not knowing that, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I would have in preparation questions for each of the personality styles, and I would have answers for, the fiscal concerns of a gold, the technological concerns of a green, for the oranges, how quickly can we make this happen? What's the bottom line? What are the immediate benefits? How can I win? That's what the orange wants. And if I have a blue, it's all about service and support. and taking care of the team. And I'll have some, points along that line too.
Yeah. So if I recall, Stu, your book came with, and I don't know if it still does, but back when I first got it, it came with this little laminated card,
Yes.
almost like a 4 people you should know cheat sheet, right? And it
Yep.
and it kind of lists obviously it lists the 4 colors, and then it lists out different roles, how to communicate to them. Can you talk a little bit about, if not just the card, but just kind of what that provides and how people should look at using a system like this?
Sure. In fact, I have a new card, and it really works well. So on the card, it describes the words that each style would use to communicate, which would help you identify them. So number 1 is, how do you identify them? For instance, blues are warm and friendly, golds are formal and structured, greens are detailed and ask questions, oranges are enthusiastic and they get excited. And then I tell you what to do and what not to do, and also how to gain commitment. For instance, words that describe a goal. They're structured, they're firm, controlled, factual, formal, purposeful, to the point. And so I describe that for each color. Also, on the other side, it's like, if I'm a gold talking to a green, here's how you're supposed to do it. So a gold talking to a green needs to be patient and calm, give details and facts, be firm and polite, and don't press for a decision. So I've done that grid. It's a 4x4 grid for each personality talking to each of the other personalities, and including 2 golds talking to each other or 2 blues talking to each other. So that's a new card that I've developed that seems to be working pretty well, because what we found out that the most important thing in sales is communication. You might have the best product or service in the world, but if you can't communicate and connect with the customer, you're not selling anything.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. So you had talked in terms of the 4x4: prepare, present. Is it present was the second one, right? Prepare, present, connect, commit.
Right.
So, what your card sounds like, it's a nice Cliff Notes version of your book, a little cheat sheet that you could use to prepare.
Yes.
For this, for any type of meeting, whether internal and especially for external, going to prospective customer and customer sites to meet with them, right?
Right.
That's good. So, basically it provides, for our audience, the 4 people you should know: the book, the card. Does the card still come with it, or is that something they ask you for separately, or how does that work these days?
I'd have to send it to folks. When you order the book, just the book comes, or unless you order it through me on my website, then I send the cards out with it.
Okay. And so what is, just why we're on it now, we'll end the episode with you providing contact info, but just since we're talking about it, what is the website and where could they go order that?
It's StuSchlackman.com.
Okay.
So just StuSchlackman.com. And you could order the book right there on the site under the book page.
Okay, great. So we're going to shift gears here a little bit, Stu, and we're going to talk social selling. This is a topic that's real hot these days.
Yeah.
I talk about this with every guest that we have on. When I'm working with customers, they're always wanting to learn more about it. And, I'm actually writing an article now. I'm going to post that on LinkedIn this week, talking about cold calling versus social selling, the great political debate for the sales world. Because it seems like, you've got, those that are fanatical cold calling folks, those that are fanatical social selling folks, they dig in their heels and it's kind of one against the other.
Yeah.
And so it's interesting to get everyone's perspective on this. So given that, the use of social technologies, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, others, is really just taking the selling scene by storm. I wanted to get your take on your experience with it. Are you seeing the same thing? What is your opinion on social selling? And more importantly, I think you have a fascinating, perspective here on the 4 people. How can social selling tools, technologies be leveraged to help prepare for these 4 personalities in communicating more effectively as you're selling?
Well, the beauty is, for instance, on LinkedIn, you could get a good idea of somebody's background and profile if you click on it, kind of a mini resume. And I could actually look at their resume, their job, what they've done, and I could take a pretty good guess on what their personality style might be. And if I could do that, or at least I know the information of their background, I could prepare a pretty meaningful sales call for them, just looking at their background. So I think that's real important. And, if someone's got a long list of great technology achievements in technology jobs, there's a good chance they're green. Same thing with the gold. If they're, a controller or a CFO or a lawyer, depending on what they're doing, there's a chance that I could guess that. Also, knowing that 40% of the population is a gold personality, the odds are that it's pretty good that they are a gold. So, based on the percentage of the personality and looking at their LinkedIn profile, I should be able to tell pretty accurately what their personality might be. And I like LinkedIn just for all the information and the networking opportunities that it provides.
Yeah, so LinkedIn, valuable tool, especially in a B2B, complex technical selling space, if you will.
Yeah.
But I love the outlook, Stu, on looking at their profile. I mean, if you're not looking at someone's LinkedIn profile before you go meet with them, then shame on you, right? As a sales professional.
Absolutely.
But now they're going to look at it maybe in a different light, especially if they understand these four personalities: orange, green, gold, and blue.
Mm-hmm.
And you started to scratch the surface a little bit on percentages. I love understanding the makeup. So 40% of the population is gold. Can you complete out what's the rest of the percentages for the other three?
33% orange, 15% blue, and 12% green. That's, if you look at other models, it's right in the ballpark of a lot of the other models. And it pretty well plays out when if I do a sales training of, let's say, 50 people, I'll get about 15 golds, about 13 oranges, and the rest, then I'll get a lot of greens, especially if it's technology sales, and I'll only get about 4 blues. That's typically what the breakout is, even though blues 3 percentage points more of the population than green, but there's a big difference between the greens and the blues versus the orange and the golds, which comprise 73% of the population.
Yeah. So if we go back to leveraging LinkedIn and combining that with these 4 colors and these 4 personalities as it relates to preparation, you can look on someone's profile. You can pretty much tell by the role and what they've written on there, which one of these personalities. That'll help you create what you're going to present to them.
Exactly.
Right? What you're going to communicate to them. So that helps on the preparation side. That'll allow you to connect better with them when you're meeting with them. And then the commit side of things, can you elaborate a little bit more on what the commit? Because you have prepare, present, connect, commit. What would be an example of, okay, now we're going to commit here? Can you give an example of that?
Well, for an orange or a gold, for the golds, I'm going to say, I've presented the information today. Here are the pros that I see. Here are the benefits I see. At this point, what's your time frame for making a decision? Because time frame is a key word for golds. And they'll tell you, we're making a decision on Monday. And I say, can I, we would appreciate and would love the opportunity to work with you. I hope that you select my company. So you could be, aggressive with a gold saying, we want your business. With an orange is going to close because oranges move fast. And in their quadrant of the brain, they have this word called impulse. So with an orange, I might even say, you know what? We could get started today. Are you ready? You could ask an orange that, and they will probably say, yep, let's go. Because they buy, even though everybody buys emotionally and backs it with logic, for oranges, it's a huge emotional buy when they see a huge benefit right off the bat. So I would ask for the commitment with a gold and an orange. With a blue, I would say, I know I've given you a lot of information. You probably want to talk it over with your team. We'd love to earn your business. What would you like to do for next steps? With the green, I would do the same thing, saying, I know there's a lot of information. You probably want more information. And I'd be glad to do that via phone call or email. What do you see as next steps in moving forward? So that's how I would do it for all 4 personalities.
So orange and gold, be more bold.
Yep.
And for green and blue, it's up to you. I just kind of made up that rhyme.
Nice. Hey, I like that.
We got to get a little creative here, right?
Yeah.
So for orange and gold, you could be more bold. I love that. Asking for the commitment. We can get started today if you're ready to go. And then with the green and blue, even though it's not in our nature as sales professionals to be a little bit more passive, you've got to match up with the personality styles. That's what this is for, because if you push them, then you're going to push them away forever, right? So you got to make sure you're going at their pace. There's still other ways probably to make sure that you're nudging along the sale, along, the opportunity, along the process, right?
Yeah.
But initially, when you're connecting with them and you're asking for commitment with green and blue, it's up to you, right? You're going to ask them, what do you see as next steps? I'm sure, get in their head in terms of what the conversation they're having in their head. I'm sure you want to go back and look this information over and talk with your team. That's their personality style. So that's probably what they're thinking. I hope he doesn't try and close me very hard here. I want to go back and review the info and think it over with my team. So if you're saying what people are thinking, then you're going to connect with them better. Aren't you, Stu?
Yep.
Okay.
Exactly.
Great. Very good. So social selling, when we come back to that topic, not only LinkedIn, but Twitter and Facebook and others that are out there, YouTube, if they're actually putting videos out there, you could see how they're communicating, their personality style. You can validate whether they are an orange, green, gold, or blue. And it seems social selling or social technology, social media seems to amplify, in my opinion, at least, and based on my experience, it seems to amplify who people really are, right? It just gives them a megaphone. The social angst of maybe being in a live room with someone is removed. So now they're sitting behind their keyboard and, hey, that's fine. I can go put video out. I can put content out. And it's really kind of getting out there what's in their mind, what's on their mind and in their mind out into the World Wide Web, right? And get it out there in the stratosphere. Would you find that now? Because when you wrote this book, that wasn't as prevalent.
Right.
Updating this now, and it sounds like you updated some, the card even. It's probably, the technology, the tools that are out there. Have you found that's dramatically impacted how you can leverage such a system as the four people here?
Well, it's kind of a good news coincidence that with social media, yes, you could figure out someone's personality before you meet them. And that might be the next update to the book. I just came out with an update about 9 months ago. But yeah, that would be the next one, because the book came out in February of 2007, 10 years ago, when social media was just, really starting to get into a stride. But now it's so much more. And so much more sophisticated, and many more people are using it, and especially in the world of prospecting.
Yeah, exactly. I agree with that. It's a fascinating topic, and I think it's very relevant for what we're discussing here in terms of the personality profiles, understanding your buyers and your prospects and customers, preparation, making sure you're thoroughly prepared before you go communicate with them. Present accordingly because of that. And that'll allow you to connect and get the commitment that you need, at the right time based on the personality style. So that's great. Yeah. So with social selling, we know that's all the rage these days. That seems to be the hot topic, but it's rival that's equally polarizing that I found is the tactic of cold calling. And so let me ask you, Stu, is cold calling dead? And if not, where do you believe cold calling fits into the lead generation mix these days?
I still think you need cold calling, because if you're going to rely 100% on social selling via LinkedIn, Facebook, whatever, people still buy from people, and people aren't going to buy from you if they don't know you. Now, you might get a nice introduction on LinkedIn. You might even get it through a friend, but that will turn a cold call into a warm call. You still have to call somebody. And I still believe there's a place for the telephone, and there always will be. And cold calling, by the way, does work in certain industries. It works in lawn care. I mean, if you have a house, you have a lawn. Someone calls you from True Green Lawn Services and talks to you about their lawn service, you're going to listen, especially if you don't have lawn service. The same thing with pest control. If you have a house, you need pest control. So there are certain areas that cold calling still is relevant. When it comes to high-tech sales, it's a warm call. It's a LinkedIn introduction through a friend and you might find out that you have something in common with someone, and that will let you have the opportunity to call that person and a good potential of getting the appointment. I still think you need to use the phone. You still need to do cold calling. I'll give you an example. This was about 17 years ago, before the internet or before social selling. I saw a magazine with a CIO on the cover of it, and he was a triathlete. And at the time, I just finished doing a triathlon. I called him up and congratulated him on the triathlon, told him I did him also. And because of that connection, I got a meeting. So the beauty about the internet and LinkedIn is that you can find out something in common you have with someone. And psychology tells us when we connect with somebody based on a similarity, there's a good chance they'll take the meeting, even if you got the same birth date.
That's absolutely key, is the connecting point. As you were going through that and talking about that, I was just kept thinking, a cold call in the sense of, here's a list handed to you by your sales manager. You've done zero research on it. You don't have an internet or anything else to go and research them. You just have a CRM system or maybe just a list of leads.
Yep.
You're picking up the phone and smiling and dialing based on a script that you came up with.
Right.
Yeah, the cold calling in that sense, the old days of cold calling, that is dead. I agree with that. But even in your example of the lawn care and the pest control, right?
Mm-hmm.
It does work more so in certain industries than others. But with that one, you're right. It's pretty simple. That's research, right? You got a house,
right?
You got a lawn. If you do a little bit of research, you can figure that out, so you understand them, and that there's a connecting point there. Maybe, hey, when they call you, we're doing the lawn service for your neighbors on either side of you or whatever it may be. So you're starting to build out some connecting points. Pest control, the same thing, right? So that's on that side. But in the B2B world, selling to businesses, complex technical sales cycle, you better leverage that research and be someone who has already established credibility, because now that the buyers are more informed and better research, the days of walking into their office, you're unknown, you've got the advantage because you got all the information, are gone. As a sales professional, they're going to look you up on LinkedIn. They're going to search you on Google or Bing or whatever their search engine of choice is. And what pops up? Well, you have the chance to set the narrative, because it works both ways. You can go create videos, put them on YouTube, right? Give them a sense of who you are and the knowledge that you're demonstrating. You could write articles on LinkedIn and put it out on the LinkedIn Pulse. So that could be your blogging site, from that part of it. And so just those two things alone get you out there. And when they search, now you set the narrative, that's what they're going to find. Google owns YouTube, so they prioritize videos. We live in a mobile social video world, right? And so use that to your advantage as tools. It's the mix of social, right? The mix of that strategy with picking up the phone. I think you hit the right, the nail on the head with the phone is not dead. Right, picking up the phone, being proactive, making those calls, not just sitting back and hoping things are going to come in because you put things out in the social stratosphere. That's kind of the key, and I think that's where the messaging gets lost a little bit for some of the sales professionals, where they're hearing that from a lot of folks that are just focused on social selling. Would you agree with that?
I totally agree. Totally agree.
It brings me back to the old saying of "Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater." In this case, the baby's the phone, right?
Yes.
The bathwater is it's dirty. You can't see it maybe, but let's get rid of that, but keep the phone, right? Because the phone is still very useful when you use it in combination with social and email and in-person networking and meetings and stuff like that. So it's a balanced mix that you really need to be successful, right?
Yep.
Great. So it's good to get your perspective, because those are the two topics I'm going to ask all my guests about, because it's just very, very relevant for today. I want to make sure our audience gets the right message in terms of how do I make use of these strategies. And these are prospecting strategies, the way I look at it. And a balanced mix of it is real key. And it sounds like you come from the same camp there.
Yes.
Okay. Well, we are nearing the end of our time together today, Stu. So that means one thing on the Sales Integrity Podcast: it's time for the sales cycle. And now the sales cycle is not only a process that all sales professionals have to manage, but it's also the name of our lightning round, where I ask questions in rapid fire format and look for quick answers from our guests. So to make this fun, Stu, I'm going to time this, okay, to see how fast you can get through the sales cycle. And then each future guest will see if they can achieve the top spot for getting through it in the least amount of time. So obviously, as all sales professionals want, they'd like a shorter sales cycle, get more deals closed faster. So I kind of translated that and had a little fun here with the lightning round of questions. Now, currently, one of our previous guests, who I believe you know, Jim Fortin,
Yep.
he set the benchmark with a 2-minute and 11-second sales cycle. And I got to tell you, it's pretty fast. He actually cut it in half from the previous time that we had. So Jim's pretty succinct. But that's the time to beat. All right. So you think you can do it?
I'll give it a shot.
All right. So keep one thing in mind, that we do want to balance speed with value. So although quick answers are appreciated, I might ask you to evaluate or elaborate, I should say, a little bit to make sure our audience can get some valuable takeaways to go apply in the real world of selling, as I like to call it. Does that sound fair?
Yes.
All right, Stu. Given that, we're getting ready to start the sales cycle. I'm going to start the clock right now. Question number 1. Name a specific technology or tool you use for identifying and researching target market prospects.
I use LinkedIn. I find that to be the best.
Okay. Question number 2. What is the best method to initially get the attention of and connect with your target market prospects?
Find something in common, no matter what it is. It could be their birthday. They could have went to the same school that I went to. Find something in common and try to connect with that.
Question number 3. What method do you use to consistently stay top of mind if your prospects aren't ready to buy just yet?
Well, probably sending them emails, follow-up information as it relates to value and the outcome of doing business with me.
Value and the outcome of doing business with me. I love that. Okay. Question number 4. What sales process methodology do you use to manage opportunities through the sales cycle?
I use Salesforce.com.
Okay. How do you define the concept of closing a sale?
Gaining commitment, getting a purchase order with a time frame of implementation of the project with metrics and expectations.
That's great. Question 6. How do you know when it's time to close a sale for any given opportunity?
The customer is giving me hints. They're giving me buying signals. They're telling me specifics of what they're looking for and what they want, and it's natural and easy for me to gain commitment.
And last question, question number 7. What is your best advice for sales achievers to improve their closing ratio?
Understand the personality style of the customer and go at their rate, not yours. It's not a sales cycle, it's a buying cycle.
Boom. You're done.
All right.
Congrats. You closed the deal. You've completed the sales cycle. And are you ready for your time?
Yeah.
1 minute and 55 seconds. We have a new champion.
Woo!
You just beat him. I'll have to let Jim know. So that was awesome. Right. Very, very succinct, but very valuable advice there. So hopefully all of our sales achievers, our audience out there, took some notes here today, because you were definitely bringing some serious value for them in terms of looking at personalities and preparing and how to view social selling versus cold calling and how it all fits in the right mix in their prospecting tool bag. So I think that very, very valuable stuff. So let's wrap up the show, Stu. What would you say your number 1 piece of advice is for our audience who are complex technical B2B sellers?
You know, Sean, the number 1 piece of advice I would give is, and I said it in the beginning, when it comes to sales integrity, customer comes first. Understand their needs. Understand how your products and services relate to those needs, and then they become benefits. Be real specific about what you could deliver. Set the right expectations. Under promise, over deliver. And if you do that, if you put the customer first and what they're looking for and not the commission check, you will win every time.
Excellent advice. Stu, how can people best connect with you, whether your website or on social or otherwise?
Well, website, StuSchlackman.com. And my email is stu@StuSchlackman.com. If they want to give me a call, my phone number, 214-435-9758. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I post a monthly article on LinkedIn. It's also on my newsletter. You can sign up there on my website. So I have a sales article each month. And yeah, that's probably about it.
Okay. And then the book, For People You Should Know, How to Connect for Exceptional Sales, Customer Service, and Unified Teams. If they go buy it from your website, then you can send them the card if they request the...
Yes, I will send them a set of cards, which will be the How to Connect card, and I'll send them a copy of, in fact, if they could take the assessment to find out their colors on a website I created with my brother. It's called connecting4people.com, and it's the number 4. So connecting for the number people.com. They could take the 10-question assessment on that website, and then if they tell me what their primary color is, I'll send them their primary color card, which tells them what they're like, and on the other side, it tells them how to sell to the other 3.
Oh, wow. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great. All right. Well, thank you for your time today, Stu. I really, really appreciate it. Enjoyed the interview, enjoyed your perspective and unique point of view. So I appreciate that.
Oh, thanks.
And thank you to all the sales achievers out there who took the time to listen to today's interview. I appreciate it and look forward to everyone applying some of the sales wisdom ideas that Stu provided during today's interview. So now let's wrap up today's episode with a few quick reminders. First, we recently launched 2 new B2B tech sales professional groups, one on LinkedIn and one on Facebook. Just search for B2B tech sales professionals on either LinkedIn or Facebook, or both if you want to join both groups, and join the conversation with your peers there. Second, if you haven't already subscribed to our free 7-day video email course titled 7 Steps to Master the Game of Complex Technical Selling, then you can do so by visiting mastercomplexselling.com. Again, that's mastercomplexselling.com, or you can text the word SI course, so as in sales integrity, SI course, all one word with no spacing in between. If you send it with a space between SI and course, you'll receive an error message back. So text the word SI course to the number 44222. After subscribing, we will send you your first lesson via email right away on day 1, and then one for the next 6 days. Third, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to this podcast on iTunes or SoundCloud. Just search for the Sales Integrity Podcast with Sean Pickett, and it should pop up and allow you to subscribe on one of those 2 channels. After you subscribe, please provide a quick 5-star rating and simple 1 to 2 sentence review to help others find the show. To provide a review on iTunes isn't as simple as you think. You can't do so directly within the podcast. What you have to do is actually click on the search icon, then type in Sales Integrity, and you will see my podcast there. Now, I'm referring to the purple podcast icon. When you click on that on your iPhone, brings up the main podcast center. Down below, you'll see the search icon. So click on that, type in Sales Integrity, and you'll see the podcast there. Click on the podcast. In it, you'll see the reviews tab in the middle there. Just click on that. And once there, you could provide a 5-star rating and simple 1 or 2 sentence review. Now, since iTunes prioritizes shows with the most ratings and reviews higher than those that have just a few of them, this will dramatically help the show be found by more people. So I greatly appreciate it. And finally, please share the podcast with your colleagues and friends who would find it relevant. You can do so by going to salesintegrity.com and click on the Sales Integrity Podcast menu link at the top of the page. All of the podcasts are there, and it provides you a way to click a button and share any episode, whether via email directly to individuals, or there's buttons there to share it on the various social media sites, LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, etc. So I would greatly appreciate it if you spread the word about the show on social media to help grow it. And finally, that'll do it for today's episode. Now go out there in the sales world today and help your prospects and customers buy what they want, what they need, and what benefits them. And most importantly, go out there and make it a great day.